Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen, and I'm joined by my usual podcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw, who played for a number of years with the New York Rangers and Los Angeles Kings. You might know him also from the Survivor Series, where he competed. Tom is a competitor at heart, still competing today as he embraces his true grit lifestyle, and he's out there competing against himself. When you say, Tom, he's trying to be a better athlete every day.
And that's yeah, so that's the way I said that. That was good.
Yeah, but today, Tom, I wanted to talk about here we are between seasons, and I think the fan base is trying to sort out where their teams are going to fit. There have been changes here in the off season, and there's still more to come. So this is really sort of premature. What we end up putting out as an opinion may change in 2 weeks. Because we don't know what to make of, for example, the Boston Bruins, who haven't completed theirs. We don't know what to make of the Tampa Bay Lightning because they're still over the cap. You can say we really don't know, although I think we have a pretty good idea about the Nashville Predators, who look like they're still poised to make a couple of moves, adding a couple of top six forwards. So, there's some danger in prognostication this early out, but hey, we're a podcast. We're having fun.
We love danger.
Yeah, we do. So let's start here. I'm going to read, just to remind everybody, the 16 teams that, we're going to give you some teams that we think will fall out of the playoffs. Now, we're not talking about the 24-team playoff. We're only going to do the top 16 teams in terms of winning percentage. And then we're going to give you a few teams that we think are going to fall out and teams that we think are going to jump in. So just to refresh your memory, if we would have just truncated the season where we were with those standings, the teams that would have been in would have been St. Louis, Colorado, Dallas, Nashville, Vegas, Edmonton, Vancouver, and Calgary, Washington, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Carolina, the Islanders, Boston, Tampa Bay, and Toronto. Those would have been the 16 teams. So, Tom, let's get us started. Give me one team that you think is going to fall out and one team that you think is going to climb up into the playoffs.
Well, and this is not because I was a former New York Ranger that I start with this team that's going to fall out. I'm saying that the Philadelphia Flyers will fall out. I know a lot of people really believe in them. I watch them play, and I just don't. I'm not saying that they're a bad hockey team at all, but I'm not I was really surprised how well they finished last year in the standings. So I'm going to say the Philadelphia Flyers are going to fall out, and I'm going to say the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to get up into the playoffs.
Okay. I understand what you're saying about that, because always historically we have a team that sort of rises up and then they falter a little bit, and then they kind of climb back in. I don't want to suggest they're a one-hit wonder, because I think everyone liked the direction they were headed. But I think everyone was a little surprised at how quick a riser they were. I just said on a different podcast that I thought the New York Rangers could be this year's Philadelphia Flyers, a team that makes a bigger jump than maybe people are anticipating. But, I liked it. Columbus Blue Jackets are a team that I think we all liked. For a variety of reasons. I like them just because of their compete level. I think John Tortorella does a really good job of getting them to compete hard. And they got two goalies instead of one, two goalies that I think are capable of getting the job done. I love their defense.
Yeah, they had a ton of injuries last year too, right? I mean,
they did. Yeah. I think Dubois has turned out to have vindicated his selection as he's now their number one center, although they don't have him signed yet. That's sooner or later they're going to get this done. So I think that's a real reasonable idea. I had my list here now.
All right, I'll go for another one then while you're finding your list.
Yeah,
I've got the New York Rangers jumping up into the playoffs. I just think that you look at that team with so many young players in key positions that I think they prove as they go along. I think they're just going to get better and better. I like what they've done with their team. I think the goaltending now is solidified there. And again, they're young goaltenders too. They may have some ups and downs, but they're really solid future. And this one, I don't know, people may not be happy with this, but I think the Rangers are going to be in. I think the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to fall out in the East.
Yeah, there are people who have suggested that. I hate to say this because I know one of mine was, and this hurt me to do this, but I had Carolina perhaps falling out simply just based on goaltending.
Yeah.
Like I love that Carolina team, and Peter Mrazek, say what you want about him, but he has for 2 seasons now kept him in the hunt.
Yeah.
So I know they believe in him there, but I think if they would have gotten they would have been better off if they could have gotten an upgrade in goaltending.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I took them, and I have the Rangers going in as well. I like that team quite a bit, and I think they're when you look at the possibilities there they have so many young players who are going to get better this season, and I just think they were poised last year to be and they weren't ready for the playoffs. I think a lot of us got too excited about them, but once they got in the playoffs, we realized their inexperience was really going to hurt them. Their young players weren't as ready for that.
And it was surprising. It's surprised because some of the other teams, their young players were ready. It just didn't seem like it were.
Yeah, and I don't think that means anything.
No, I agree.
I just think that sometimes everybody develops on their own pace, but.
And you know what I think part of it was too, like even players like Mika Zibanejad, who to me was one of the top 5 players in the league at the time of when we stopped the league. He didn't come back and play as well either. I mean, I thought he was just so good when the season stopped that he just didn't come back. So I think the rest of the kids now who really relied on him for leadership and all that he did, that just wasn't there.
Yeah, and some good things happened. I mean, I thought the Gordon's trade of Stahl. That allows them to keep D'Angelo, who was a pretty dynamic offensive presence, and there was a lot of thought they were going to have to move him simply for cap reasons, and he's still on the team. So there's a lot to like on that team, and now they're going to add Lafreniere, and scouts tell me that he's not going to set the world on fire. But one of the questions I ask is, will he have a bigger impact in his first year than say Hughes did? Now both of them are going to be great players. Like that's not the question. It's just how ready are they to compete now? And the scout told me that he thought for sure Lafreniere would have more impact.
It seems like there's a lot more character. They're not to downplay Hughes' character to say he doesn't have it. It just seems like Lafreniere, when they talk about him, character is such a big word with him.
Yeah. Just the compete level, I think, is a little higher at that point for him. So, and they're both going to be great players, but. He said, he'll get more done than Koppel was able to do, that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting to see. I'll go now. So one of the teams I'm concerned about because of the injury to Sagan and the goaltending and the fact that Khudobin has never, faced the start of a season when he's the number 1 guy. I'm concerned about Dallas. Pavelski is a year older, didn't have a good off season. So I'm thinking that they could be in trouble, and now this may surprise some, but no, I won't go with that one. I'll go with the one that I won't surprise people. I think Minnesota Wild are going to get in. I believe in Billy Guerin. I like what he's doing. I don't think he accomplished everything he wanted to get done, but I think he knows he's got to change that culture, and he's trying to do that. And
I believe in Billy Guerin too. I think he's a smart hockey guy. I just don't think he's had the time to do what, like you said, he just hasn't had the time.
No.
To do all things.
Yeah, and that's fair. But I think they're going to get in just on sure will. There's always a team that just is going to play hard, and I think they're going to get that done in Minnesota.
It's funny. I'll got one more team on the East one more team going to game. One it's not going to be in. I didn't see anybody in the West that I could see that was going to jump up into the top 8 and anybody fall out of it. I actually wanted to pick.
I'll do one more in the West then because I had 2 in the West. But I know what you're saying. It was a struggle to find teams to jump up.
Yeah.
And there are too many teams in the East.
Yeah.
That could get in. I'm going to go with Winnipeg. They got just great goaltending, and that that just really helps.
Yep.
I think they're still not done yet there. I think they're going to add a couple of pieces. It's going to be a lot will depend on what they do with Laine. If they trade him and don't get a fair return, they're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they get a big return, they still might. If they keep him, I think they will too. Like I wouldn't trade him. I feel about Line, even though they're completely different kinds of players. But I thought Buffalo should have never traded Ryan Riley.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
I didn't like it when they were talking about it, and and when they made the trade, I liked it even less. Yeah. And I feel the same way about Line. Like, I know his deficiency. I know he wants a lot of money, but guys like him with that shot, they don't come along very often, and you got to hang on to them. So I wouldn't trade him. I'd figure out a way to make it work. But anyway, I think Winnipeg can get in. But let's go to the East, because I totally.
Who do you have coming out then if Winnipeg's going in?
I have Nashville.
Oh,
I said earlier that I don't believe, as they stand now, I don't believe in Nashville.
Well,
I
tell you, they've got the talent to me. We've talked about this so many times. there's something missing there. Like there's got to be kind of an overhaul. Some of those key guys have to come out. Somebody have come in. That's going to be tough to do right now with flat cap and some of the salaries they've got too.
Well, and they do. I mean, I love their defense, but their goaltending is older.
Yep.
And they're going to let that go one more year.
Yep.
Then I think they assume Rene is going to retire. But they only have, it's like I was talking to some GM and he goes, they only got 4 players for their top 6.
Yeah.
I mean, there are guys they can slide in there. Yarncroc, might be able to play in there, but
they get those big guys in the Duchesne and Johansson, and I like Johansson's skill a lot. But man, it's just something missing for their game. I don't know what it is.
Well, those are 2 of the 4 guys they do have.
Yeah, I know.
So anyway, I just think they're going to fall out.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go back to the East end. I just want to touch on one thing. The one team that I looked at that I wanted to try to get into the playoffs was the San Jose Sharks. I just thought to myself, the talent they've got in that team, but they're last in the West. I mean, I couldn't justify them jumping up that high. But I got to tell you, if it was to happen, they made the playoffs, it wouldn't surprise me. That's the one team that I think to myself, okay, they should be better than they are. But
do you like their goaltending though? I'm not sold on Dubnyk. So
yeah, I hear you. That's a deficiency. Yeah, I agree. All right, okay. So back to the East, and I got one more team that's going to jump up in there, and that's Montreal. I like some of the additions they made. I think Price is still, if not the top goaltender in the league, he's right up there. I love Shea Weber's game. He came back last year and played really well. He'll have more time to rest some of the injuries he's had. I like Montreal. I like what they've done. I don't think they're going to jump up that much, but I do think they'll squeak in. And I think the other team that falls out, and again, this is not because I played for the Rangers, but the New York Islanders are not going to make the playoffs. I just don't think
that's a tough one. We both loved how they played in the playoffs. Yeah. I wanted to put Montreal in too. I couldn't figure out how to do it. Here's the thing though, and you can't do it because they've been great too long. But if you're looking at a team right now that looks like it's going to fall, based on where they're at, it's the Boston Bruins.
I know you're going there, yeah. It's cool too, because going into the tournament last year, you wouldn't have said that about Boston, but it's just something. It seemed like the way they played.
Well, we don't know. Marchand is hurt.
Yep.
We don't know what they're going to do with Chara. DeBrusk, it seems like they want him out. I don't know that, but there he is still sitting there. Rumors that they want to move him out. Bergeron's a year older.
Yep.
Rask, it feels like we don't know where his attitude is. It may be fine. I don't know, but it just feels like there's tension now between Rask and, if that's a better way to state it. There's tension now between Rask and the Bruins.
There shouldn't be, yeah. I don't think there should be between Rask. They seem to be classy enough guys. And from what I've heard, with the whole Rask thing, again, centers from him leaving the bubble to go home. And from what I understand, that was a family issue. And it seemed like the organization really supported him. So I don't know.
Yeah, but it does seem like they don't really know where they are with him.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm reading from the outside in. So. Totally. Maybe it'll be fine. It seemed like his teammates were totally fine.
Yeah, at least they certainly said all the right things too. And I just think, it was, and to their credit, Halak played pretty well. It wasn't the goaltending wasn't the reason they didn't. No. So
No, but it's still a drop off, obviously.
Yeah.
And but I couldn't move them out because they're an exceptional team. Those talented players are still talented. Their coaching is still superior.
And they built that culture there too, right?
Culture, tradition, whatever you want to call it,
Yep.
it's there. So I couldn't drop them out. But just based on where they're at now, and look, they can cure everything. Chara might come back for $2 million. DeBrusk may be re-signed, and he's 23 years old. That gives him a younger player to serve as the next generation, one of the leaders. So
how do you feel about my Islander choice of them not making the playoffs?
Well, that's a tough one. I just didn't know what to do with them. I basically vacillated between the Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes,
right.
And I just really loved how they played in the postseason. I think I let that influence me a little bit.
But they haven't improved the team at all, right? They had to give up.
No, and they lost Taves.
Yeah,
Which I think is a bigger loss than people think. I mean, I don't think it's the end of the world, but I think that's a significant loss. Barzal, they don't have re-signed yet, but that'll happen.
Matt Martin, and now I know Matt Martin's just a fourth line guy, but that was arguably the best fourth line in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, no, I think that's all significant. So and they had Rice was a safety net. Now they got that great young goalie, but you also don't know how that'll work. The young goalie comes. Do you put him in right away? Does if he starts out hot, does he replace Varlamov?
Well, the Rangers had that same problem with Shesterkin, right? I mean, that was the issue there too.
Yeah, and it's never. You say, well, it'll work out, but it's still difficult. It's challenging.
It is, yeah. Everybody knows how good. Like Shesterkin's case, they all knew how good he was. They were smart to keep him down in the minors, so he wasn't sitting there competing in practice against the other goaltenders. But once he came up, it was clear he was the guy, and that's going to be the same. Probably going to be the same way with the Islander goaltender too. So.
Well, and what's interesting too is I know and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but historically, the changeover every year is 4 or 5 teams, not 3 teams. So
okay.
Yeah. I mean, we can go back and look, but it's usually 4 or 5 teams.
Yeah.
So we'll.
I know you look in the West, though, right? You're saying yourself, like you mentioned Winnipeg, and like I was thinking, like San Jose should be better, but those other teams, like Arizona's not better.
No, they're going. Arizona's going backwards in my opinion.
Chicago's rebuilding. Anaheim, LA, they really haven't done enough to get back up there. They're doing it, but they haven't done enough. I don't think.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe this is the year. There's only 3. Maybe there's fewer. Maybe the same teams will get back in.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. It's because I know what you're saying about the. It felt to me that the Penguins last season had grown stale.
Yeah.
But saying that, boy, it's hard to bet against Malkin and Crosby.
Yeah. I know.
And it's
the goaltending is good enough.
Well, Jari was better than.
Martin. Martin, wasn't it?
No.
Murray. Cool. That's the first letter, right?
Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. And he'll really be lost, I think, in Ottawa. As much as we love what Dorian did this offseason, I know I did. I thought, boy, he's really, and what a difficult position he's in where, the fan base hates his owner and, they're working in the lower end of the cap.
Right. Empty building there a lot of times too, because of partly where it is. Yeah. How are we feeling about Buffalo? Any shot of them, you think, with Taylor Hall?
Well, a lot of people believe that they got like an outside shot because, there's some excitement over the fact that Taylor Hall's moved in, and that's, Eichel should be happy. Like you start to convince yourself, all right, what if Skinner gets 25?
Right.
What if Middlestat finds a player?
Right.
And Rasmus Dahlin, we know how great he is. Well, he's just getting better every day.
Yep.
So I think people are thinking, not that they're a prime contender, but, could they get hot? We've seen them get hot with less talent. That's part of Buffalo's tradition. They go on these long runs where they win 10. Well, now they, maybe they're better.
Yeah. Here's one team in the West too. I'm looking at, like the Calgary Flames. I'm thinking, like it's hard to find teams at the bottom to jump up, but Calgary's right there, and you're going, man, like they're in it last year. They're at number 8, but man, they were talking about trading Monahan and Gaudreau. Nothing's got done there really yet. So is that, is that a stable team that can still stay in the playoffs?
Well, I think we love their goaltending more now, or we like their goaltender.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think there's some stability there.
Totally.
So I think that that helps. So anyway, I got a couple other things I want to talk to you about. I wanted to get you. I was thinking about this just recently, and I was just thinking about how I really like where the game is at, the NHL, in terms of I like the way it's played. I know we had that little debate about whether the puck when it's shot out, whether that should be a penalty. That ended up being a very important thing in the postseason, and I like that rule. I like that change. I think people have forgotten what it was like when you could just shoot the puck out and say, "Oh, oops."
Yes.
And
I practiced that play. That.
Well, the thing about it, what I hated is that's when your little kids play soccer. That's what they do. When there's any pressure, the coach yells, "Kick it out of bounds," and that's what they do. And we're pros. So we should be able to try to make a play. Yeah. And it is, and like you said, you practice it. It is an art form to be able to get that puck down the glass, and you should practice it. So I like that rule. I get it. I don't want to make it a judgment call about whether it was accidental and anything else. It's the refs got too much to worry about.
Yep, absolutely.
So I like that. But I have thought about a rule, and I've always been bothered by this. And so I said, I gave you the challenge of only one rule, and I've got 2 that I've been back and forth about. And the 2 involve the penalty kill. Like I've always been bothered that the team that's being penalized is allowed to shoot the puck down the ice without.
Okay, hold on one sec. Just so we can tell everybody, Kevin just sent me a text saying, find one rule or one change you want in the game. We did not talk to each other at all before.
No.
So, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So shooting the puck down there, I've been really bothered by that. And then I've often thought, too, about the old days when you got a 2-minute penalty, it's 2 minutes. So, and whatever they did on it, they did on it. So I've gone back and forth about which one I would like to do, whether it's you got to serve the full 2 minutes. And I think the impact of that would be, now there's some strategy involved with this. You're playing a team with a great power play, and someone's coming down on you, and he looks like he's going to beat you. And if you're thinking, well, they're 5% on the power play, you just pull that guy down. They're not going to score on the power play. But if they're 25% on the power play, maybe you just let them get beat. No, you probably won't let them get beat. But you know what I'm saying. You're going to have to be more careful against the team with a good power play. So
I'm not as much with letting the full 2 minutes go. I think that's too, like, once they've scored, if they've scored against you, okay, now you've been penalized enough. That's it. I see where you're going with that though. But it's amazing, though, because I'm the same way with you. Like shooting the puck down, you think about it, you've been penalized, you did something wrong, and now you've got the advantage to be able to shoot the puck down the ice without an icing call. So I agree with you. They should not be allowed to shoot the puck down the ice. I think that will also generate more offense, right? Now you see a defenseman wherever to hit his zone, and now he just grabs the puck and shoots it. Well, now he's going to have to make a play. He's either going to have to make a soft dump into the neutral zone or try to carry the puck out of his own. So I like that.
And he's tired now because he won't be able to change.
Right, totally.
So, yeah, and that's what happens. They ice the puck. What do? They change.
That's a change right away. You're talking, even if you're not tired yet. In fact, you don't want to get tired. You want to get off it before you get tired. So you dump the puck. So I like that a lot. I think that'd be fantastic. I think that'd be pretty exciting too. Where again, it's kind of when the puck gets shot down, it's like, oh, okay, now they're going to go back. It's 15, 20 seconds to get the puck and now come out again. This way, I think, it creates more.
Well, let me ask you this, because that's what I decided to go with, by the way, with the icing. But let me ask you this. Would we ever see a change without icing? I mean, would you have to kill penalties for a full 2 minutes? Because that's when they're changing.
Well, it depends which. Now, if you're in the first or third period, so your end zone, your defensive zone,
right?
It's easier, that's for sure. The second period is going to be tougher, but they'll find a way. I mean, they'll carry it out, or they'll make a soft dump. I mean, again, later in the period, it's easier to make a soft dump because the ice is more snowy. Early in the period, you get cleaner ice, so it's harder to make that soft dump. But that's good. I like that. It's amazing. You and I are thinking the same way on that too. That's good.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if anybody could figure out what would the difference on the number of changes that you could make.
Yeah.
This would be one they should try it in the AHL. Whenever we get out of the pandemic, try that in the AHL and see what happens. Because I think it would really be interesting. First of all, how many extra goals would we get?
Yeah.
How many times would a defensive team killing a penalty be able to change compared to what they're doing now? Because I think it would be a lot less.
Right. So that's the same thing. They could still ice it, so it's going to be an icing, but now it comes back, and now you can't change still, right?
You can't change, right?
You're stuck with those.
That's the deal. Because oftentimes, too, boy, you sure see as soon as they ice that puck, illegal icing, they beat it. They beat it to the to the bench.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Here's the other one. Here's the other one I had too. I understand why we have reviews now on plays, offsides, and goals, and all that kinds of stuff. But it's just what bothers me is how long it goes on. Like I want us to have a time limit to say, okay, you've got 30 seconds or whatever it is to review the play. If you can't decide by there, you got to make a decision in 30 seconds. Then we get back at it. I just hate we have these things where it seems like it takes 5 minutes. I think it just takes away from the game. I know there's going to be times. I know they want to get it right. I get that. But it's also, I think, that fine line. I mean, there's been plenty of times. It's still a game of mistakes. Players make mistakes. Coaches make mistakes. Referees are going to make mistakes. I think I like the entertainment more, keep the play going. So I'd like to have some time limit on the replays.
Yeah, in theory, I like that idea. The only problem I have with that isn't why we do it to try to get it right. And
I know. I agree with you. But
I guess, again, I think we need to study that a little bit.
Yeah.
We need that AHL to test our rules.
Yes, I agree. Okay. Yeah, they got to get back playing. Yes, definitely.
We really do. And we need
I'm actually it's funny being an old penalty killer. I'm kind of excited about the idea of not allowing the team that is killing penalties to shoot the puck down the ice. I think that for some reason it's that would be exciting.
Well, it does. It will add some excitement to the game because, there's nothing like a drag on a power play is when they ice the puck, and now you get all this excitement, and then the puck's down the ice, and so. And then one final thing, I just want to get your thoughts on. We've seen, especially at election time, we've seen a lot of players commenting and so forth, and I've been wondering about if I was an athlete, and you were an athlete, but you didn't have social media back then. But I wonder why any of these players would, choose to comment when they're in the entertainment business. Yeah. And you risk alienating your fan base.
Right.
So.
Well, you're right. Especially nowadays, the state. I mean, it seems so divisive, right? I mean, you and I don't talk about politics. We differ on politics, but we don't talk about politics. It's you're going to alienate half the people. So. Listen, obviously players have the right to, and I think
for sure
they have, in some ways, because they're athletes or celebrities or whatever, whether it's right or not, they seem to hold more weight, right? So if they've got a social issue that they want to talk about, they can do some good with their voices. But the problem is, it's almost like, and I can speak to it myself because I was an athlete, and I think the guys, we talked about it before, the guys today are a little bit more informed. We were kind of oblivious. It's just so wrapped up in our careers, we really didn't understand fully the things that are going on around the world. I think that's fair to say. And I think the players are better with that today. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. If I'm an owner of a team and I'm trying to put people in the seats and I've got one of my athletes alienating half of our fan base, that's a tough one. Yeah.
Well, and I get wanting to be able to use your platform for good. And sometimes when they're making political comments, they think they're doing it for good as well. And there's still an avenue in order to do that. I mean, how many times have we seen athletes who have a cause and they're into a charity and they're pretty effective in utilizing that, and people get behind it. And, even if it creeps into the political arena because they want to see some legislation passed, I think the fan base gives them a pass on that. If you have a child who's suffering from a disease and you get involved in national health insurance because I don't think people are going to get mad at you because you want to see your daughter have better health care. So I think it's sort of a fine line. I just think they probably need to be a little more careful, or at least if I was their agent or their father, I would recommend that they're a little bit more careful.
Have somebody to help them with it too. I mean, they hire coaches to help them with their skills on the ice. Have somebody there if you got something you want to say, run it by somebody else first that understands how it's going to look. and how people are going to react to it before you put it some post.
Yeah, but I do respect those who want to use their platform, because you and I both agree it's your right to do whatever you want. You have a voice. If you want to use it. So I'm just saying I'm surprised that more players aren't a little bit more careful, just because they're in an entertainment business where your fan base is very important to you in terms of your popularity, and it impacts a lot. And I'm sure an owner's not thrilled when their athletes are out there stirring the pot because they're selling tickets.
Well, you saw what happened to Colin Kaepernick's career. He wasn't, and someone could argue that he wasn't playing that well either, but yeah, I mean, the distraction, it wasn't about coming to watch a football game anymore. It was about the cause and everything. So
yeah, that's interesting. One final thing, let's get back on hockey before we go. When are we going to get Hoffman signed? Like, what's going on there? Any thought?
Well, you see Taylor Hall do a 1-year deal, and I think that was indicative. I love Taylor Hall's game when he was in New Jersey and won the MVP, but his game fell off to the point where I think if other teams probably were saying to him, listen, we're not giving you, we're not giving you 8 years at $8 million. Obviously, that Arizona could do that, but we're not giving you 7 years at $8 or $9 million. And he said to himself, well, I'm going to stick to my $8 million I want to get. This is what he got, I think, from Buffalo, correct? And go up and play for 1 year and prove that I really am that guy that was MVP a few years ago, and then try to, get a 7-year deal or something again. But I think I'm assuming with Hoffman it's the same way. I mean, I like the player. He's got a great shot, great offensive player. But if I'm a GM around the league right now, I'm saying I'm not giving you a 7-year deal. I'll give you a 7-year deal at maybe $5 million, but he doesn't want $5 million. He's probably want $7 or $8 million. So,
yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's several teams. I mean, you keep hearing that maybe Boston, and and it's funny because that's where it all started. I remember when free agent period started. I remember in the first hour there was talk about Hoffman was going to end up with Boston, and here we are at the end of it, and we're still talking Boston.
And what changes for him now? Like, I mean, I'm assuming teams have told him what they're going to do, unless there's some teams that are waiting to make some trades and have some more cap space to sign him. That may be it.
Yeah, that's. I think Nashville could really use him. So, but again, they've got enough players that are making big money that they're unhappy with, so they're not going to give him term.
And another guy, he had his issues right in Ottawa off the ice too. So another problem child. Hey, how about Howie Meeker passing away?
Yeah, it's funny. Obviously, he was a great player, but as someone who grew up in Michigan and watching Hockey Night in Canada, that's what I remember. Howie Meeker.
Yeah, I know. It is funny. You can't forget about him as a player. You just remember he had that great voice and lively.
Yeah, he had the great, a great Canadian voice. That was just awesome, and he lived well into his 90s. There was a great photo of him, with in the dressing room with just one of the modern teams, and there he is. He lives into his 90s, and he was. I'm told he was a great player. But
same here. I don't really remember as a player. It's just
no.
Podcaster,
So sad day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back next week for another edition of the Leylon Allen Report.
We'll see you on Wednesday, guys. Kevin will be here. He's just a little mixed up. We'll see you Wednesday.
That's right.